Hey, what's up guys? Benji Bruce here with Speaking Lifestyle, and I want to tell you about my friend Rich, right? So Rich, it was years ago before I learned business in general, and Rich first showed me how an in-demand person should be. Now, Rich he's an entertainer, he's not a speaker, but it's the same thing really. And so here's what he did. It was like the funniest thing at the time. So as we're talking, he literally gets a phone call at that very moment, right? And so he's looking and he's like, okay, he's like, if this is an event, like just watch, right? So he answers the phone, puts it on speaker, and he's like, hey, this is Rich, and mentions his last name. So how may I help you? And then they were like, hey, yeah, we saw you at this event, and I mean, we loved it. We were wondering, are you available for June 18th? We'd love to bring you in, and we'd love to just hire you in general. He's like, oh, you know what? Let me check my calendar real quick. And so I'm standing there, and he's just like this. Like after he said, let me check my calendar, he's just standing there. I'm like, what the heck? Like he's not checking anything. He goes, so, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm not available for the 16th. I've gotten another event out in Washington. I'm not available. And then they interrupt him. They say, no. It's the 18th, not the 16th. And he goes, oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm available for the 18th. I'm sorry about that. How long would you like me to perform for? And he like goes into the whole thing, right? And just like asks questions, and he books a gig. And at the time, like I was thinking like, wow, that's impressive. Like the way he talked. And he did little things like that, where when someone would call him up, he would say like, all right, I got to check my schedule. And then he would deliberately miscall the date. So like how they would say, oh, we want to hire you for the 20th, right? He would deliberately miscall it. He would say, let me check my calendar real quick. And he'd just wait there. Just wait for a little bit. And he's like, oh, you know what? I'm actually not available on the 18th. Unfortunately, I can't do it. I'm out in Washington. And they would correct him. They would be like, oh, no, it's the 20th. And so by doing that, they secretly, subtly agreed to the fact that he's insanely in demand. And so if you want to be in demand, you have to start talking like you're an in-demand speaker. Just start talking like you're in demand in general. So really think about it. Like what would an in-demand presenter, speaker, what would anyone who's in demand be doing? How would they be acting? And so little things like that, like you'll notice a sense of urgency in your voice when you're like insanely in demand because you're doing things. I mean, you've got a business to run. You're sitting there maybe cold calling, cold email. You're doing things, so you're truly busy. And so you have this sense of urgency in your voice and like little things of I got to check my schedule. What he did was miscalling the date. Thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. And so little things like that. That's what separates a lot of speakers from everyone else. Even when you're not in demand, you have to act like you are because that's the only way you're going to get hired. Nobody wants to hire a beginner. Nobody wants to hire someone who doesn't have business. People are absolutely terrified they're going to bring in the wrong speaker, the wrong presenter, absolutely terrified they're just going to waste their money. So when you start talking like you're in demand and you just start presenting that image as if you're in demand, then more people are willing to hire you because they realize
unlock your iPhone first.
Oops, and you don't want to do that and unlock your iPhone. But so basically, you simply want to start talking like you're more in demand and start thinking like you're more in demand. Just think, what would an in-demand speaker do? I mean, little things like, I've mentioned this a few times on my website. Well, first I saw this on an entertainer's website. He's like the David Copperfield out in the UK, right? So I saw it on his website where he put to contact for corporate bookings, contact this email. For media inquiries, this email. And I thought like, damn, this dude is like that in demand to where he gets so much business and so much media inquiries that he has a separate email address for media. And that was the first impression. And I thought, you know what, let me do that on my website. So I put a link on my website to a separate email for media inquiries, right? Little things like that do matter. If you want to become in demand, you simply have to present this in-demand image because like I said, nobody wants to hire a beginner. Even if you're great at speaking, you simply have to demonstrate it. It's very similar to like wearing good clothes, right? If you're wearing like raggedy clothes, nobody really cares. If you're in a suit, then you change the impression that people have on you or that you have on them, really. And so if you're going to become in demand, start talking that way, you have to obviously have a great website. And then after that, you simply have a sales process in place to where you're actually contacting events nonstop. That way you actually really do have a sense of urgency. You really do have that pipeline. Whatever you do, it's really hard to come across as in demand when you're not in demand. So you want to pay attention to what in demand people actually do, how they actually sound. Because honestly, it's very easy to point out, like someone who's really in demand, they can easily say that dude's faking it, that dude doesn't have a gig lined up. They can easily point it out. And so that's why you have to like truly practice it, like the way my friend did. I mean, it was the most hilarious thing ever. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm not available on the 16th. I got a gig out in Washington. But no, it's the 18th. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Little things like that. The way you talk, that's what causes you to be in demand. That's what causes that in demand impression. And when you start doing that, you'll naturally start getting booked more and more. Your closing ratio will be better, okay? So like in the beginning, you're simply going through a sales process. You're contacting people with cold emailing, you're contacting people with cold calling, however you want to contact people. And then what happens after you contact them, they're obviously going to respond, you're going to have this conversation. If you appear too desperate, then they simply won't hire you. So that's why you have to come across as in demand, because you're not desperate, right? So if you appear too desperate, they will easily distance themselves because they'll say, well, if nobody is booking this guy and he like desperately wants it, then I don't know how good he is. And so they're going to naturally have that impression. It's like with dating, right? You can seriously like someone, but if you come across as desperate, then you instantly just kill the attraction. And so the same happens with getting a gig, to where if you come across as desperate, instantly kill the attraction. I know a lot of people out there, they say like, oh, be authentic and all that, but trust me, if you come across as desperate, you can be as authentic as you want. Just expect that attraction to be dead. So just make sure that you guys start speaking like you're in demand, you start thinking like you're in demand, and that's how you're gonna become an in-demand presenter.